when kids are young, they don't necessarily comprehend everything.
Right.
So it can get a little freaky.
Now listen, get ready and say it with me on 3. 1, 2, 3. Because once again, the man who just can't let go of the spotlight, Drake, the self-crowned cupcake king turned Karen Ice Spice clone, is out here pulling another desperate stunt. This time, he just announced his 4th concert series for 2025, like the world was begging for it. But here's the catch. Back in his home city of Toronto, instead of giving fans something fresh, he's looking sadder, more bitter, and more obsessed than ever. And all of this, every single move, is aimed straight at one man, Kendrick Lamar. You can't make this up. Drake is so fixated on trying to get one tiny win over Kendrick that he's throwing everything at the wall, hoping something sticks. He's trying to bring the pop-out moment back to the 6, but what he's serving feels like a cheap knockoff, the Walmart version of greatness. Every time the rap spotlight shifts, whether someone's breaking boundaries or crashing their career, here comes Drake, running like a spotlight addict who can't stand being ignored. And now, with this move, Drake looks like a man trapped by his own bad decisions, forced to tour and perform shows he clearly has no passion for. It's like watching someone chase clout just to prove they still matter, even when the streets already crowned a new king. So here's what went down. Instead of shutting up and owning the stage, Drake spent this year whining, pulling stunts, canceling shows, and delivering one of the sloppiest tours we've ever seen. Nearly 40 week stops on that so-called Anita Max Win tour, followed by the flop-worthy For All the Dogs run that felt more like a chore than a celebration. And after all that chaos, it looked like Drake was trapped in his own personal touring nightmare. Now it's getting wild. Either he's stuck in some shady contract forcing him to perform every month just to stay afloat, or he's making excuses and using these lazy shows as a way to write off his failures. Because let's be real, he just finished a tour days ago, and instead of recharging, he's announcing more concerts like the world was begging for them. The problem? He's clearly burned out. No spark, no momentum, no energy left in the tank, yet he keeps running through arenas worldwide as if fans can't see through the smoke and mirrors. The truth is, it's all looking desperate. And while Drake tries to spin this like it's a victory lap for OVO, for Toronto, for music as a whole, the reality is embarrassing. Meanwhile, Kendrick Lamar is out here headlining stadiums with ease, commanding the culture, and leaving Drake looking like a man scrambling for relevance. Add in the fact that Young Thug and his guy YSL Scooty just got clowned publicly, and it's clear Kendrick's circle is thriving while Drake's empire looks shakier by the day. Drake's 2025 run has been nothing short of chaotic. Instead of locking in and owning his lane, he's been staging half-baked stunts, canceling shows, and turning in one of the weakest tour efforts we've seen in years. Nearly 40 dates on the Anita Max Win tour that left fans yawning, followed by that flop For All the Dogs showcase that felt like filler instead of fire. It was less of a victory lap and more like watching a man trapped in his own self-made nightmare. Now here's the twist. Is Drake stuck in some deal that forces him to perform non-stop just to keep the checks coming? Or is this all a cover-up, a way to excuse his sloppy stage presence and fading energy? Because let's not forget, he literally just wrapped a tour days ago, only to announce more shows as if anyone was begging for them. The problem is obvious. He looks drained. No momentum, no vibe, no hunger left. Yet he's sprinting through arenas worldwide like the music scene can't smell the desperation. And while OVO tries to frame this as a massive win for the city, for the Six, for music itself, the truth is, it reeks of panic. Meanwhile, Kendrick Lamar is effortlessly filling stadiums and running the culture. And with Young Thug's camp taking L's publicly, his guy Scooty just got humiliated, the contrast couldn't be louder. Drake looks like a man clawing for relevance while Kendrick and his circle look untouchable. The next stop on this chaotic ride is here. Drake is now rolling through leg 3 of his so-called Grand National Tour, and he's promising the crowd something great every night. But let's be real. This isn't about giving fans a masterpiece. This is about cleaning up messes and covering tracks. He's clearly trying to soften the backlash his buddy Jeffrey, Young Thug, caught, while at the same time scrambling to keep up with Kendrick Lamar's flawless run. Drake has been drowning in L's ever since that beef exploded, taking hits in every possible arena, music, culture, even credibility. So what's his grand plan now? To pull off something he thinks will flip the narrative. But instead of bold moves, what we're seeing is sad desperation. Drake won't even touch the same places he just toured. It's clear he has no intention of going back unless someone forces him. And the States? Forget about it. His reputation is scorched there, especially in LA, where he's burned too many bridges to risk another flop. And no, don't hold your breath for him to land something legendary like the Super Bowl. Drake will never be trusted with the biggest stage in music. You actually need to know your lyrics for that, not rely on a giant teleprompter to carry you through the most important 9 minutes of your career. So what's left? With no landmark moments, no credible tours, no big cultural stages, Drake has gone full mega Karen mode. And that's why fans were stunned by what just got announced. Shows lined up for October 26th and 27th, right in the month that's supposed to be October's very own. The irony? Instead of a triumphant homecoming, it feels more like Drake's last card in a desperate game. Drake is now trying to spin the block with back-to-back birthday shows in Toronto, branding it as a celebration for the entire OVO community. But let's keep it real. This isn't about unity. It's about damage control. After everything that's gone down, it's impossible not to see the shadow Kendrick Lamar left in his own backyard. Because not too long ago, Kendrick stormed into Toronto, shut down the Rogers Center, and packed it out to maximum capacity 2 nights straight. And the wildest part? The crowd wasn't just vibing. They were chanting for an encore of Not Like Us, the very record that dismantled Drake's image piece by piece. Imagine the humiliation. 60,000 people in Drake's city, chanting his rival's anthem at the top of their lungs. No wonder he spiraled deeper into full Karen mode after that. Drake couldn't ignore it. The so-called anti-Kendrick circles and cringe pizza parties outside Rogers Center showed him there are still fans as delusional as him. That little reminder gave him just enough courage to finally schedule a Toronto performance after nearly 2 years of ducking the city since Not Like Us rewrote rap history. But here's where it gets even more pathetic. Instead of matching Kendrick's dominance at the Rogers Center, Drake shrank his ambitions. He's not even attempting stadium numbers. He downgraded his own homecoming to the much smaller arena where the Toronto Raptors play, chopping capacity down to 1/3 of what Kendrick pulled off. In his own city, Drake is scared to go big. And nothing screams desperation louder than that. I don't care what kind of excuse the OVO camp tries to spin. There's no getting around the truth. Drake ducked stadiums, plain and simple, by choosing the second biggest venue in Toronto instead of going head-to-head with Kendrick at the Rogers Center. Drake symbolically bowed down to both Kendrick and The Weeknd. 2 heavyweights proved they could own the city at the highest level, while Drake played it safe and settled for silver. And we all know what's coming when he takes that stage. The subs, the slick disses, the petty jabs, but none of that changes the optics. Kendrick still holds the record for the biggest rap shows in the 6, while Drake shrank his shot down to a smaller space. That's not competition. That's surrender dressed up as strategy. Think about it. If everyone had competition like Drake, life would be easy. Here's a man obsessed with trying to one-up Kendrick, yet at every chance to go big, he folds. He concedes before the battle even starts. It's like watching someone shadowbox against their own fears, terrified of what real competition might expose. And let's be honest, OVO knows this. Every single person in that camp has to be thinking the same thing. This so-called OVO birthday bash isn't a statement of dominance, it's proof of fear. Instead of showing confidence, Drake has shown the world he's terrified of going head-to-head with Kendrick on any stage that really matters. And when you strip away the smoke and mirrors, that's the saddest part of all. Here's the brutal truth. Drake knows deep down that if he dared to book the Rogers Center again, the numbers wouldn't match Kendrick's. That fear eats at him. Instead of facing the possibility of empty seats in his own city, he's gotten so desperate that he won't even headline these shows properly. He's not stepping out solo, not carrying the night as the main draw. He's hiding behind gimmicks, hoping no one notices the insecurity bleeding through. And yeah, if you wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt, you could say his choice of the Raptors arena over the Blue Jays stadium comes down to business ties. He's tight with the Raptors ownership, he's the global ambassador, so maybe it feels safer. But let's not kid ourselves. This isn't strategy, It's survival. The smaller venue is Drake admitting he's terrified of being overshadowed in his own backyard. But what makes it worse? Drake is recycling his old tired touring trick, the one that has already solidified him as one of the laziest live acts at his level, maybe ever. Instead of carrying the weight of a real performance, he leans on distractions and gimmicks because he knows his stage presence can't cut it on its own, and fans deserve to see through the smoke. Because what Drake has done, time and time again, is disguise weak delivery with flashy guest appearances. That's right. In true Drake fashion, the man just doesn't do solo shows. He brings in other artists to cover for him, to patch over the cracks, and to hide the fact that his live rap energy just doesn't match the myth he's built. Let's be real. Drake would never step on stage alone to compete with Kendrick Lamar. That's way too much pressure for him. Instead, he does what he always does. Finds a co-headliner to split the spotlight, like a student who shows up to the group project hoping for an A without lifting a finger. But this time it's different. He's not even latching onto some rising rapper to ride their wave. Nope. He's bringing in someone with enough pull to completely eclipse him. And if you're trying to do OVO-style mental gymnastics, you could spin it like it's mutual benefit. But let's not front. The truth is obvious. This isn't partnership. This is Drake hiding behind a bigger name. And that name? None other than Vybz Kartel. For the first time ever, Vybz is performing in Toronto. And that alone is a massive cultural moment. Anytime his name is on a flyer, thousands of fans flood the venue. He doesn't need Drake's stamp. If anything, it's Drake who desperately needs Vybz right now. What's about to happen at this show is simple. Vybz Kartel will be the one carrying the night, drawing the hype, and stacking the numbers, while Drake quietly leans on his presence to save face. The demand for Vybz is red hot, while Drake's touring value has been slipping hard, with weaker ticket sales and less energy every run. So when the lights go down in Toronto, it won't be Drake owning the city. It'll be Vybz making the stat sheet look legendary while Drake plays backup at his own birthday show. At this point, the signs couldn't be clearer. Drake's canceled shows, the weak ticket sales, and the collapsing demand prove the city doesn't ride for him the way it once did. So what's his solution? To mask the loss by stacking his bill with one of the biggest names possible and hope nobody notices that he's no longer the real draw. It's not about reclaiming Toronto. It's about damage control dressed up as a birthday bash. By bringing in Vybz Kartel, Drake thinks he can shift the narrative, making it look like he's still commanding energy when in reality, Vybz is the one fueling the hype. And unless fans are tapped into discussions like this, they'll probably believe the surface level story, that Drake owned the night. But the truth? He's hiding behind another man's spotlight just to cover the cracks. For the self-proclaimed Ice Spice man turned full-on grift king, this is the same trick on repeat. And for the die-hard OVO cupcake fans who still swear Drake is always 10 steps ahead with some master plan, this is the illusion that keeps them cheering. But when you strip it down, it's nothing more than another smokescreen. Think about it. Drake trying to stage his own pop-out moment while letting Vybz carry the weight is laughable. That would be like Kendrick Lamar pulling off the pop-out and then handing the reins to someone else to headline in LA. It's a move that screams weakness, and no matter how OVO spins it, the truth always comes out. Imagine this. Drake lines up someone like Ed Sheeran as the frontman, just to mask his own shortcomings. That's the level of desperation we're dealing with, and it shows exactly how pathetic Cupcake Karen has become. And the saddest part? Moves like this only feed the OVO echo chamber, keeping his die-hard fans locked in a bubble of delusion where every weak play is painted as genius. Outside that bubble, though, the reality is clear. Drake's act is turning into a running joke. Meanwhile, Kendrick Lamar is out here commanding stages across the globe, in cities Drake avoids like the plague because he knows he couldn't even fill a high school gym there. And weirdly enough, I almost admire it. Drake has become such a walking L that it's impressive how consistent he is at fumbling. Every time he tries to catch up with Kendrick, he manages to trip over his own ego. Think about it. He's had every chance to counter, to strategize, to play smarter. Kendrick always moves first. Bigger tours, better albums, stronger cultural moments. Drake could use that as a blueprint, But instead, he panics, racing into mid-sized arenas with half-baked shows, dropping lazy albums, and then acting shocked when it all backfires. It's like he refuses to accept the most basic logic of competition. Study your rival, learn, and adjust. But Drake? He'd rather double down on the same mistakes, running headfirst into walls and hoping OVO stans call it innovation. And that's why, no matter how many features, gimmicks, or co-headliners he stacks up, he'll always look like the man chasing Kendrick's shadow. Now let's kill this weak excuse some fans love to throw out, blaming the weather. Saying Drake couldn't book the Rogers Center because it's October and too cold for shows? Please. The Toronto Blue Jays play there all the way through the fall, and if it came down to it, the World Series could be hosted in that exact stadium. So that excuse doesn't fly, and trying to spin it just makes Drake look even more desperate. The truth is simple. Kendrick Lamar has reached a level of performance power we've never seen from any rapper before, while Drake is out here begging Vybz Kartel to help him fill a venue that's only a fraction of the size. The Ice Spice Man image is cooked, and the cupcakes have officially burned in the oven. What's happening now is clear. Drake is stuck in a never-ending game of cat and mouse, chasing Kendrick's every move but doing it worse every single time. Kendrick drops a flawless tour leg. Drake scrambles to copy. Kendrick packs stadiums, Drake books smaller arenas, and prays nobody notices the downgrade. The obsession is obvious, and it's getting embarrassing. And at this point, the L train isn't stopping. With Kendrick still rolling through legs 3 and 4 of his Grand National Tour, Drake has extended his all-time streak of losses straight into October. Every move he makes feels like another stumble in a race he already lost. The rivalry he tried to keep alive has turned into one-sided domination. Kendrick running laps while Drake can't even keep pace. You really have to wonder, is Drake ever going to give this up? Will he finally stop chasing a rivalry he's already lost 1,000 times over? Honestly, if it hasn't changed by now, it never will. Drake looks locked in, stuck in this endless loop, while Kendrick Lamar keeps stacking shows, each one bigger and greater than the last. The gap isn't closing, it's widening right in front of us. So here we are, watching the so-called cupcake convention get hyped up as OVO's next big plan, while everybody else is waiting for Kendrick to touch down again and deliver another masterclass. That's the reality. One career spiraling down, the other defining an era. If Drake just admitted defeat, maybe he could move forward. But instead, he keeps forcing this head-to-head battle with a man who's already miles ahead. If we were keeping score, Kendrick would have hundreds, maybe thousands, of wins, while Drake's sitting on a clean 0. That's not a rivalry, that's domination. And the sad truth? None of these losses ever push Drake to reflect or change. Instead, he doubles down, adds more gimmicks, and digs himself deeper. One of these L's should have been enough to shake him into reality, but clearly, that moment isn't coming anytime soon. The rap world is evolving, and while Kendrick continues to rise as the MVP, Drake just keeps sinking into messier and messier territory. So if you want to stay locked in as this drama unfolds, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who needs to see the truth. Because trust me, the story of Kendrick and Cupcake Drake is far from over, and the next chapter is only going to get crazier. But here's the kicker. Even Drake's little buddies like Young Thug have completely fumbled the bag, dropping one of the strangest albums rap has ever seen. And with this project, you can bet Kendrick Lamar is laughing harder than ever, maybe the biggest laugh since The Heart Part 6. The timing couldn't be worse, and the desperation couldn't be clearer. So if you want to see how Drake's closest ally just wasted what might have been their last shot at climbing back to the top, don't miss the next breakdown. Check out the suggested video, and as always, be sure to like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you on the next one.